So again, thank you for joining us in our new STEM Center. I say new, I say our improved and renovated STEM Center. As we've been flourishing, as we know through this pandemic, right, it's obvious by the mask we're wearing, this is a perfect time to be open. We're having a conversation about reimagining education. And a lot of things we have done in the past will continue, like some of the education that's happened here. But as we reimagine, we're going to be taking a step into the future. So it's a perfect time to open a center like this. I want to introduce a few of the people who are joining us today, and then we'll turn the program over to Dr. Wood. So first, I'll start with the Board of Education. Their supportive Board of Education. We have Deanna Stevenson, Board President, is here. Mr. Todd Gilbert, Board Vice President, is here. Gusta Miller, Board Member, is here. Miss Naomi Hoffman, I saw Naomi. Joseph Weber, Mr. Weber is here. Mr. Robert Presley, and Mr. Jason DiGianni. I should know that because I know Lauren. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your support. From our community, Phil Barrett, our supervisor, Town of Clifton Park. We have Senator Jim Tedesco, and Ryan Agwam is here. We have Stacy Agostino. And I did get the name correct. It's very similar to mine. She's from Assemblywoman Walsh's office, so we thank you for joining us. I believe Senator Tedesco wanted to say a word. Is that correct?
Thank you, Principal. Thank you, Principal Ron. I try to pronounce your name. We're both on the same wavelength there, but you got me mixed up when you said her name and yours. I'm afraid I'm going to be presenting it to her. But she does a great job for our Assemblywoman, Mary Beth Walsh. And I want to thank Superintendent Robinson, who does a great job, your school board members who do a tremendous job, and the community who does an unbelievable job. I see our Chamber of Commerce member here, Pete, and they're always there, and they know how important our educational system is. So they're always there for not only our businesses, but to support what we do for education. I'm always tremendously honored to be any place in the 49th Senatorial District. I have a tendency to say, they've heard it many times, all good things emanate from the 49th Senatorial District. Unfortunately, it just happens to be my Senate district, and I love it for that reason, but I love it for the great initiatives that happen here. And I'm proud and honored to be here as we salute all those who put together this great STEM program, but this is just a continuation of the great things you do here at Shenendehowa High School with the challenges you face. You probably know that at one point in my life, and I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek, I had a real job. I was an educator for 10 years. So I've been in a classroom. I know about standardized tests. I know kids aren't standardized. I know teachers have to be able to be innovative, and it's so important. But I also know that our constituents, in any survey we ever do, know that education is of supreme importance. They don't mind spending dollars, a lot of dollars on education. The projected budget from our house, one house, is close to $30 billion, $1.2 billion in foundation aid, which is so important. What they just want is excellence in education. This is a school that exemplifies excellence in education. They want to see graduation rates. They want to see the scores be fairly good and competent and go up when we can most of the time. But they also want to see that excellence. I've had several leadership roles in the New York State Legislature. You probably won't believe this, but this is my 20th term in the New York State Legislature. Next year, I'll be there. I shouldn't even say this because they use, there's only one job they say. Boy, that experience is terrible. You should go. You don't say that to your doctor. You don't say that mostly to your educators who have great experience. When your public servants have had a lot of experience, it seems, when politics gets involved, that person's been there too long. Well, they could have been there too long the first day they got there. And I know a lot of my colleagues who shouldn't have been there for one day. I know Senator Hugh Farley, who was there for 40 years and should have been there for another 40 years because he was an outstanding public servant. But I have the opportunity this year to do the one thing I've never done in all those years. I'm the ranking member on the Education Committee, and I debated that on the floor last year. And I made sure there was $500 million for preschool funding. I asked that question. I asked questions about tenure because that's a problem now because we haven't had to have the situation where we could really evaluate teachers. Talked about broadband, which may not be that significant here, but in parts of my district, believe it or not, you're going to need homing pigeons or smoke signals to get anybody to talk with or get involved with. That's how serious parts of the Adirondack are. And when the governor says 98%, we got it covered, you may have 98% for 3 minutes and then it's gone for the rest of the day. So we got to really be serious about that. But what we've really got to be serious about is serious about our funding. We need full foundation funding aid for education. We got to get serious about it. And last year, foundation aid was flat. The year before that, they put, I think, $1.4 billion in the one-house budget. We ended up with $618 million, which was less than 50%. This year, it's $1.2 billion. Don't sit back and be satisfied that there's a number in the New York Senate budget for education that says $1.2 billion, because there's a guy sitting on the second floor who has unbelievable, tremendous power in a whole variety of ways. And every time we send our budget over there, it doesn't come back, because I'll close with this. You remember a guy named Willie Sutton? Willie Sutton robbed banks. When they asked Willie Sutton, Willie, why do you rob banks? He said, that's where the money is. Why do governors, not only Andrew Cuomo, historically rob money from education? $30 billion. That's where the money is. But that's where the future and success of our kids are. If we care about them being our future, no question about it, an excellent education leads to the success of that future for them and us. So we got to be serious. We got to be vigilant about that. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is extremely exciting. I thank you for all the people who made this possible. And just to commemorate this, I have a New York State Senate citation for the new great opening of this new STEM cell center, STEM center dedication. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator. And I like hearing you mention the term excellence, because you'll notice, and you'll see it everywhere, and I'm sure Dr. Robinson will even mention it, our pins. We have a commitment to excellence here at Shen, so it's something that resonates with us. I know Mary Beth Walsh, Assemblywoman Mary Beth Walsh has someone to represent her and come up and say something. So would Stacey Agostino please come up?
Hi, I don't have much to say that hasn't already been said, other than number one, the Assemblywoman, as the former ranking member on the Education Committee, wishes she could be here to celebrate this project long in the making, but she is currently in session, so I am here in her stead to say congratulations and most especially thank you. What you're doing is not only committing to excellence, but you're delivering excellence, and that is what this community needs. What you're turning out is a population of young kids who are going to be leading, and they're getting their foundation here, and that is a tremendous value that you're bringing to this school and to our community. So wanted to provide a New York State Assembly citation to the Shen Central School District, to all of you, again, to thank you, congratulate you, and I know personally, and the Assemblywoman feels the same, we can't wait to see what comes from this really beautiful center. Thank you. Can't forget these.
And please thank Assemblywoman Walsh for us. So continuing with our introductions, I know we have Pete Bednaris here from the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce. Nice to see you again. From our administration staff, you all know Superintendent Dr. Oliver Robinson. We have Deputy Superintendent Dr. Elizabeth Wood with us. Mrs. Kathy Wetmore Chase, who is our business official. Mrs. Rose Barra, who I saw floating around. Oh, she's our administrator for technology. She is in this area. We have our administrator for science, who is Ms. Jean Lorch over there. Mr. Ken McDermott, who's the director of IMS, our Information Management System group. I know Mr. Lombardi, we should recognize, he's back there. He's one of our teachers who will be in this group. He probably doesn't want to step forward, but here's Mr. Lombardi, teaches automotive. So he is here with us. Ms. Lindsay Valente, our Public Information Officer, is here. And Mr. Paul Kane, who's a retired 40-year Shenendehowa teacher. You'll hear more about Mr. Kane in a little bit. I also want to recognize the most important people in the room. Grace Perner, who you have seen. She is our Board of Education rep. Bailey Wolinsik, one of our students here. She's a captain of our robotics team. Ian Thompson, also a captain of our robotics. Oh, there's Ian. Karina Ragluman, one of our tech students here, and a senior, I believe, right? Is that correct? Yes. Jillian Iqbal, 11th grade, so we got till next year till we see you go. And Emma Jane Andrews, who is the founder of the Tech Honor Society and also a member of our Society of Women Engineers Club. So we thank them for being here. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Wood to come up. Thank you.
So I am pleased to recognize the architects and contractors who have worked on this beautiful space. And when you look around, it is nice to see it all come to fruition. However, if you back it up 3.5, 4 years, there was a lot of nitty-gritty detail planning going on. And the individuals who work with us through that detail planning are from Mosaic, and we have principal in charge, Callie Gasperi, who has worked extensively with Shenendehowa over the last several years, and we look forward to planning additional projects with her in the future, and also project manager Todd Vogel. And we really appreciate the expertise that they bring to this work. To the layperson, you see walls, you see cabinetry. The amount of detail planning that goes in behind and below, above the ceiling and below the floors, and with all of the requirements for State Education Department are really quite remarkable. And that does not include Dr. Robinson and I having veto power on pretty much everything that we come in and say, oh, I don't know about that color, and I don't know about, and so kudos to them for enduring all of that, because we really are, when we talk about our commitment to excellence, we are not kidding. It goes right down to every single detail that we believe will make a positive difference in the lives and the experience of our students and the teachers who work in these facilities. Also want to recognize the construction companies that worked on the project. General Construction, Betty and Kring. They were the ones that came in and did the significant construction work. Also, DeJezer, Campito, and DLC Electric were also part of the actual construction of the plans. So we thank them very much for their commitment to making sure that we had a beautiful end product after our investments. And with that, I will turn it over to Rose Barra, who is our academic administrator for technology, business, and also family and consumer sciences. And she is the one who's going to be working directly with the teachers to make sure that this space and facility is utilized the way we have envisioned. So, Mrs. Barra.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. It's so nice that we're finally to this point where we're celebrating the opening of our new wing. I first want to start with a couple of stories. In 2005, Dave Hall developed, a 3D mapping device, which would allow a driverless car to kind of map out their landscape, so that we can use that information to further along a driverless car competition and possibly driverless cars for all of us. Zoom to 2020, spring. Freshman Jonathan Waters purchases a LiDAR device as his COVID project and uses the device to map out his bedroom. 2011, Shenendehowa graduate Carl Springley, who is also a systems engineer now at Regeneron, had a project for the COVID time as well. He decided that he was going to purchase a 3D printer. And I looked at him and I asked why. I says, most of us during that time, we were perfecting our recipes, and you go out and you buy a 3D printer. And he says, Mrs. Barra, when I was at Shenendehowa, 3D printing wasn't even a thing. And I feel like I'm behind the times. And so I feel like I needed to get a printer so that I can catch up with the technology. These are two examples of how technology is changing the impact and the lives and learning of our students at Shen. A recent workforce development leader stated that the students entering the workforce need two characteristics. They need to be nimble, and they need to be adaptable. This space is designed with that in mind. We wanted to make sure that we can continue to deliver the current curriculum and be able to adapt to whatever emerging technologies are just beyond the horizon. The space we're in is not a classroom. The space we're in is not a hallway. The space we're in is not a cut-through. This is a learning space. This is the space where students that are in any of these classrooms can come and learn collaboratively and creatively. Today, on the wall behind you, will be a series of additive and subtractive tools, our 3D printers, our laser engravers. Maybe next year, there'll be other things to join. Maybe we'll get a fleet of drones with little LiDAR devices on them so the students can go outside and start mapping the landscape. Maybe we'll get a set of Oculus headsets. I don't know if you noticed, the price has gone way down on those, and it's almost attainable to get a class set. Please notice behind us the windows leading into the center of the hub, where we have our traditional machines. These were purposely placed in the center. Even while I was told over and over it can't be done, Mosaic said, sure it can, you just need bigger doors. And so we have the machines in the center as the hub, as where the learning will take place. I recently had a conversation with a machinist to find out the viability of traditional machines. And he says, yes, while things are changing, you have to remember, while manufacturing is getting more and more automated, and this one's for you guys, you need to make sure that there are skilled individuals that can build the robots that do the automation and that can repair the robots that do the automation. The glass surrounding all of these spaces is purposely placed to provide sight lines for our teachers so that they can monitor and facilitate the learning wherever the students may be. I'm so excited to see that our students learning here, and I'm so grateful for the Shen leadership for sharing this vision and for being very future-minded. I want to thank Jean Lorch for having the insight that physics should be a part of this space to lend itself to a natural integration between the science and the technology. And I want to thank the architects of Mosaic for bringing our vision to a design. And lastly, I just would like to end with a quote, and you guys have probably heard this one before because it's one of my favorites. It's from First Robotics founder Dean Kamen. He says, technology has always been about tomorrow, but tomorrow is coming faster and faster and faster. So thank you all for joining us here today, and I will turn it over for a little bit of a slideshow.
So thank you very much, Lindsay and Rose and everyone for putting that video together. We did it. We'll stream it also, put on the website for those who would like to see it again or share out. Certainly when we're done here, we invite not all of you, because we can't have all of you in the same spaces, but certainly if you want to tour around and look at some of the rooms that you saw in there, but we certainly want you to have appreciation of the various rooms that's made up of our STEM Center. And before I offer some comments, I was so pleased to hear Mrs. Barrett point out all the wonderful things that Assemblywoman Walsh and Senator Tedesco is going to do for us with the added funds that they're going to make sure that are earmarked to purchase the drones and the, what you call those things? The Oculus headsets, not only for all the classes here, but an Oculus headset for every kid. You get one, you get one, you get one. So on a very serious note, I want to say thank you very much to both of you for being here, recognizing that finance and political influence is always a significant part of the process to ensure that we can provide everything for our students. I want to thank Mr. Agustinone for kicking it off. The high school is a tremendous place for our students. You know, when years back, just a little historical piece, and if you drive into the campus, some people call it the bell tower. It's actually, it's based upon all the carillon bells that's in front, and we strategically placed that at the high school because the high school is a culminating experience for all our students. And so when we think about projects and we think about innovation, we think about the things that we want to make sure when our students leave our walls they're leaving our walls with their eyes wide open, ready essentially for the world. So I certainly want to do that. And again, to reiterate some of the acknowledgments from Dr. Wood, thank you very much. The Board of Education has been tremendous, and I'm often saying to my colleagues across the state, across the country, that, man, when you have good people behind you, you could do some wonderful things. And so this is just an example of the wonderful things that's being supported by this Board of Education, but more important, by the community as a whole. Since the 16 years being here now, and I can't think of a year that the community said no to us. Every year, the community, in fact, some cases we're saying, hold on, back off a little bit, slow down, we'll eventually get to it. It's been more, community want us to do more for our students, so we really appreciate that piece of it. And so when you think about this project, this actually, the formalization of this project actually occurred December 2017. And so I say that because oftentimes people hear about project referendums. In fact, we're going to be talking about one for May for about $26 million to do some renovations in the middle school and the elementary level. So we're trying to do concentrated, very targeted. This past two projects were a lot of high school stuff, the new library that was opened, the STEM Center. Now we're going to focus on middle school, and just a quick little middle school story. I'm not sure if she's here still. Barb Saliker, who's my unsung hero, one of my favorite individuals in the world. Barb retired from us probably, who knows, 10, 15 years ago, and we brought her back to be the interim, and she's here every day, literally every day. Barb is around campus doing things, and we're having a tour of the middle school as a part of the $26 million referendum that we're planning, and I'm going to embarrass Barb a little, and Barb was walking down the hallway. She's like, when I was in school here, the hallway ended right here, and this was the end of the high school, and, these classrooms are still the same. And I thought to myself, okay, Barb will never make that comment again. Because the fact that Barb is still making that comment that these classrooms are still the same shows us that, we still have work to do. And I kind of highlight that because those are the type of things that we really focus on in terms of how do we make sure we're evolving with the time, and we look at the details of what we're trying to do as we move forward. So we were pleased when the voters said in 2017, yes to $18.3 million referendum that had many things in it, the STEM Center being one of those focus points, and the library was one of those focus points as well. All those things are consistent with our district mission and vision in terms of recognizing that we want our students just not only to graduate from high school, we want our students to thrive in a knowledge-driven economy. We want our students, as Mrs. Barrett pointed out, we want our students to leave here with a high degree of confidence, saying that anything that I want to do, I can do, as long as I'm willing to put forth the effort, the hard work, because they're coming from an environment that says, yes, you can, and not an environment that says, don't worry about it, you can't. And especially the young lady who, the National Woman for Engineers, I want to just highlight that for a second, because I got to tell you, the stereotype of most engineering programs are male-dominated. And a lot of it is because, quite frankly, a lot of the modeling is still based upon a time and space where things weren't necessarily taken consideration of a very diverse group. So I'm so pleased that nothing against my gentleman friend there. I'm so pleased when you see that we have four young ladies who exemplify what we hope this space will become. That this space will become a space that every student in the school district will want to be a part of. And not students happen because my parents were engineers and so subsequently I fall into that pattern. We want this space that students will come and see this space as truly a way to open their mind's eye to endless possibilities. So that's what we want this space to be. And related to that, when you think about this space too, this space also has a lot of history. And so, yes, it's new, but we can't lose sight from whence we came as we think about where we're going. And so we have to ground ourselves in the history of this. So I'm going to ask Mr. Kane to come up here for a second. Come on, good sir. This is kind of put you on the spot a little bit here. So if I were to mention Paul Kane, some of you are like, who the heck is that guy? Well, this is that guy. And so it's there for a reason, because Mr. Kane is one of those individuals who have done some great things, but he didn't do it for fanfare. He didn't do it for fanfare. He did it, and there's a quote on the plaque I'm going to show in a second, and a quote on the plaque that says, "Everything I did for kids." So think about that powerful statement. Everything I did for kids. And so we have here a plaque that's actually, I'm good that you're tall, that's actually going to be mounted right here. And the plaques are going to be mounted right here. And I think it's important for that to happen, because when our young people come into a space, they need to know that they're coming from somewhere, that they're grounded in history. And so they're the next generation of the newest innovators, but they're grounded in history. And so this plaque reads, in recognition of the Shenendehowa Technology Advisory Council that was organized in 1989 to support the implementation of the groundbreaking pre-engineering program, Project Lead the Way, making Shenendehowa the first district in the country to initiate such an industry-leading program. That same year, Shenendehowa Robotics, Team 20, became a founding team in FIRST Robotics, the leading figure and trailblazer transforming a concept into an innovative reality for countless students was Mr. Paul Kane. This gentleman, Project Lead the Way, is now across the country. It started here. Worldwide, excuse me. The country is not big enough for him. He wants the world. It's across worldwide. And Team 20, people see Team 20, what does the 20 mean? We were one of the founding members of FIRST Robotics, which is also you're supposed to come here worldwide. See, no, I thought we had it down pat, which is also worldwide. And I say that because sometimes, and it's important for our young people to understand this, the difference you make sometimes is not in the immediate moment. The difference you make sometimes is not in the immediate moment. It's how you influence others. Mr. Kane, back in 1989, the difference he's having now wasn't in 1989. It's in 2021 and beyond that you carry into the future. So I want to emphasize that point. I'm going to ask Mr. Kane, he can, it's a worldwide call he's getting. I'm going to ask Mr. Kane, one, to mount this, if you will, and also ask you if you want to say a few words as well. Then we'll complete the dedication portion.
Thank you. My boss at that time was Richard Blaze. He came to me and he asked if I would like to start a pre-engineering program. The advisory council got together and they came up with industry leaders and business people, and they said that there was a bunch of things that need to happen with engineers. They need to be able to communicate. They needed to have different types of skills, and it wasn't happening, and there was a lack of communication between high school, 2-year schools, and 4-year schools. So they handed me an outline, and I developed a course called Principles of Engineering. The next year, Murray Getman started a CAD course, and then the next year, Tom Hodge started a digital electronics course. People were coming from all over the country to take a look at our program. One of them was Richard Liebeck, who said, we would like to take what you've done, get together with engineers and educators, and put together a course of, or a series of courses that we want to take statewide. They included money, about $10,000 for each school to get computers and basic equipment. And they went out to 27 different schools and started Project Lead the Way. Without community help, it would never have happened. From those 27 schools, it went across so well that it went national, and now it's international, affecting over 1.5 million kids.
And that's the power and influence of education. And that's the power and influence of people who come to this profession with a very authentic focus. And that is to clear the pathways so whatever the wildest dreams our students may have, they can realize those wild dreams and turn them into awesome realities. So with that being said, it's certainly my honor and a privilege as superintendent to formally dedicate this space on behalf of the Board of Education, on behalf of the Shenendehowa Central School District on this 24th day of March in the year 2021, that we commit and rededicate, now we call it the Shen STEM Center, recognizing the progress that we have made, but more importantly, all the possibilities that we see in the future through the eyes of our young people. So at this point, I will call my friend Pete and Lindsay. We have some folks that we're going to do a formal ribbon cutting to cut the ribbon, to dedicate it. And following that ribbon cutting, Todd Gilbert, who represents the Board of Education, Madam President, is in the back. Deanna Stevens is in the back. We decided to have Todd do some public speaking because we hates public speaking. So Todd is going to represent the board with some comments right after the ribbon cutting. So at this point, we would ask Pete to come forward from the chamber. Mr. Kane, stay. You're going to be a part of the ribbon cutting, my friend.
Yeah, we need everybody that is supposed to.
So, Lindsay, you want to organize how you want to? So,
Our elected
Madam
officials.
President, board, if you want to come up, Ron, you're just going to grab this ribbon all the way across, and Mr. King, I'm going to give you the honor for the big. Can you hold the big scissors?
I can grab an hand.
Sure, Dan, you want to get on this side?
Let's make sure we got it straight. We don't want crooked ribbons in this one.
And hold on, we also have students. Oh, come on. Here.
Yeah, we need some students in this picture.
So here. Yes, spread out. We're all wearing our masks, so we're okay for the moment.
You got 15 minutes.
Here, someone stop in. Come on, right in. Here, come right in. Perfect. Here. I want you to hold these scissors. All right. We gotta squish them. So, Mr. King, come on this side. Get closer to the middle. So, just in case our big scissors are not working, I want you to actually cut it in case our big scissors. You should, but just in case. All right. Everybody ready? So, 1, 2, 3. Oops. Nice. Yay! Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, people who have been to board meetings or know me know that brevity is not an issue with me, and especially since I'm between all of you and lunch, I promise to be quick. So, thank you on behalf of the Board of Education to everybody being here today. This project, and I've heard this word used multiple times today, collaboration. This project truly was a collaboration between the board, the administration, and Dr. Robinson. And it continues, and this is important, it continues the pride and the longstanding commitment that Shen has to being on the cutting edge of technology and proven practices. So that's a great thing. This STEM Center, as you can see, is going to provide great new opportunities for not only the students today, but also the students for many years to come. As you can see from the environment, it's a great learning environment. It's welcoming. It is modern. And it's going to ensure that all of our students, no matter if they're a STEM student or not, have the opportunity with their learning to be here. So, on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank most importantly our community for their unwavering support throughout the years, and everybody else who's made this project a reality. It started and literally started as a scribble on a piece of paper. It went to a design. Of course, it went to the voter, and again, thank you, to the voter approval, to the build, and I'm already out of time. And now here we are with utilization. So again, on behalf of the board, thank you all for being here, and have a good day.